right, hello everyone. It seems like most people have joined in from the waiting room. We're going to get started with today's Maine SBDC webinar with our certified business advisor, Jill Stein, who is here with us through CEI. She has lots of digital marketing background, in particular in the hospitality and food industry. So she's going to be helping us understand some Google techniques for getting your business in searches and on the map. When we type in your business name, we want you to pop up at the beginning of Google. So she's going to help you give you some tools so that you can do that. Some housekeeping from us. If you could please stay muted for the presentation, that would be great. We'll have time for Q&A at the end. So feel free to submit any questions that you have along the way in the chat. You could also introduce yourself, let us know where you are in the state, maybe what industry you're in, and any questions that you have along the way. So we'll make sure that all of those get answered by the end. You will also receive a follow-up email from me after this that it'll include the recording today's presentation and the slides so that you can go back and check any specific references or links to resources that you would like, and as well as Jen's contact information, excuse me. So otherwise, I think I will pass the mic over to Jen.
Sure. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's workshop. Like Kelsey said, I am Jen Stein, and I'm a business advisor here at SBDC. I'm going to throw a lot of information at you today, so keep in mind that at SBDC, we offer free to you counseling anytime, so most counselors can help you or advisors can help with any of this, and I am happy to meet with you one-on-one personally as well. So in today's workshop, we're going to go over how to set up, verify, and manage your business profile on Google, and kind of walk through why it's important. And it's a lot of tactile stuff, so kind of step by step, but you will, again, get the presentation at the end. So first of all, what is a business profile on Google? So business profile is how people find you. So whether they're in search or map, Google Maps, it's how they find you. And so by setting up your own business profile, you then have control over the information that you send. So we'll go through all of that, how to create a business profile, how to manage business info. We'll take a tour of Google My Business, and then we'll go to Q&A. But we're going to use this as the example throughout. So it's a shop that they call the Village Cobbler, and how he uses Google. So business profile on Google. It's a free profile that allows your business information to appear correctly in both Google search and maps. So when a user goes, it has all your hours, links to your website, and it's totally free to you to use. And also you'll see later the exact stat that people that are verified on Google get more business because people stop in and they think it's a more valuable or more verified business if Google acknowledges that. So you can include physical location, where they can visit, and then all the information, your phone number, your website, how to get a hold of you, how to make appointments, and all of that. So the photos and videos, you can have reviews. You can encourage people to do reviews, overview of what you offer, location, hours, and then quick links to directions and all of that for mobile users. And so this is an example of a business profile and how it shows up online. So when people search, they see the one you see there, the Village Tailor and Cleaners. That's the best match for what they're looking for. So I'm sure you've seen this as a user, but you start showing up there, and the more information you have, the more likely you are to match searches and be displayed there. And so creating a business profile won't guarantee that you show up there, but if you don't have a business profile, you can't show up there. So And this is how, if someone had searched in Google Maps, how you would show up for your listing. So the overlay here of the Village Tailor and Cleaners again is what you're seeing, and 70% more likely to attract location visits. So it's a huge amount of people looking, but also when you're showing up first, you're just generating a lot more interest and customers coming. So there's a lot of ways that Google results show, but a lot of the information in your profile will help dictate whether you show up or not. So a lot of factors like relevancy, Google's pulling that from information you're putting in, distance, and then prominence. And then Google also can see how many people visited your site after finding you. So they know how they're verifying on the back end that the information is correct there as well. And then this is how it shows up. So business profiles work on all devices. So potential customers can find you no matter how they get online. So this is just showing you where on all the different things, how they show up. So you can see on a mobile site, it really takes over the entire screen too. And they show a range of details, and searches find the information they need about your business. It's particularly important because smartphones have become indispensable shopping tools, and many people rely on them to do all the research and purchases. So how to create a business profile. Here's how to get started. So if you already have a lot of businesses, you may already have a profile, you're just not controlling it. So if you do a Google for your business and find it, you can just do the claim now. And if you don't see a profile, you have to log in and create it. You will just charge verification. So we're going to walk through how to create a business profile. So one of the ways to access Google My Business is by visiting google.com/business. And so then if you already have an account, you can sign in. And if you're new to Google My Business, you can click Manage Now and then create an account there. And you also have access to edit your profile by looking for it in Google Search and Maps. So you can just find your profile without going to google.com/business in search like a user would, and then click Manage. And to use all these tools, it's worth noting you do have to have a Google account, but you can always sign up. It's totally free. So if you want to sign in to Gmail, if you use Gmail, you already have a Google account. And so you wouldn't need to sign in again. You can just start managing your listing through there. If you don't have a Google account, you can set one up for free. You can choose to get a new email address, Gmail address, or you can use another email address you already have. So you can go accounts. With Google, there's a link right here to sign up if you do not have one. And the Google account you use should be one with an email address that you check regularly, because any action that happens on your Google My Business, that's going to go there. So if someone gives you a review or does any of the stuff we're looking at through here, you'll get notified at the email address you use to set it up. So don't use an obscure Gmail address. So find or add your business. So this is easy to get to with search. Just type in the name of your business. And if you see the list of businesses, scan the results for yours. So if you're already in Google, you don't want to re-add it. But if you're not there, you would add it. So if your business name does appear, click on it. And this skips you ahead to a few steps. And if you type in your business name and it doesn't appear in the list, or you don't see any options listed, just click next. And so then you would get to add your business. So see, this is an example. It's not showing up at all. So if you're a new business, it's also worth noting you can set this up before you're actually open to start letting people know you will be there. So it's kind of like a virtual, if you have an opening soon sign, but it's on search. So then you need to select the category for your business. So this goes into the search. Everything we're doing from here on is like how you'll result in searches. So they make you pick pre-defined categories so that they can display you with similar businesses. So start by thinking of the category you'd like to use, then type in a few letters and see if that option appears. You have to choose an existing category. So you can't create a category, but if you can't find the perfect category, just choose something that's close. So this isn't like shoe factory, shoe store. Like if you're making shoes, you would do factory. If you're just selling them, you would do store. Even if you did like only you were selling boots, you would still do shoe store there. If your business fits in multiple categories, start with the main category. And after you update your business profile, you can add additional categories as well. So don't feel like you can only choose one, you'll be able to add them later. And then once you've selected, you just go next here. And then you'll be asked to choose whether or not your business has a physical location that customers can visit. So many local service area businesses operate out of private homes. If you have a service area business and see your customers face to face, but at the customer's location, you can hide your address here too. So that's if you want people to come to drive traffic to your actual local business, you would not hide your address. But if you don't want people just dropping in, you do have that option. The business will still appear on Google Maps without displaying the address or driving directions. And then the next would be to enter your complete address. So if you check yes, you have an address, this next step is this. So you don't need to include any extra details like cross streets or landmarks because it's going to show right up on maps here. So you can add a suite or office numbers in the separate line, but you want to be really exact and you can't use a PO box. So even if you get most of your business mail at a PO box, this location has to be physical. So they won't allow you to put a PO box here. And then this shows how to enter your address. And those of you that already have a business profile and selected the service, you can add that you do other services outside this location. So if you had multiple locations, you can add that in here. Also, if your business has a physical address, but also delivers goods and services to customers, after entering the business address, you'll have the option to add additional service areas. So you can see that on the screen here. And then next, you'll be prompted to enter your phone number or your website URL. Providing the current info will help customers get in touch and learn more about your business. And then if you don't have a website now, you can always add that in later when you do launch one. And then once you finish registration, you'll have the option to use the website feature to build a free site. So if you don't have a website, we're going to go over that at the end, an option to do a website right within Google. So that's just another part of their suite. And then this is the final slide. So this is the final slide on setting it up. So this is all you have to do is these steps to get your up and managing your listing. And then you'll need to click finish to move ahead with verification. So verification process, so Google has to verify. So there's a couple ways. And actually, if you've had trouble verifying, I find sometimes people get stuck on this. I have an express, we can include an express link to get verified with Google as well. So if you can't get the postcard, there's been a lot of problems with the post office lately. There's other ways to do this. So to confirm the business location and authorize to manage a profile. So basically, this is it's a good thing for business owners because they're verifying that you own the business and the business is where you say it is. So no one can come in and just start controlling your listing. So verification options appear. Everyone has the option to verify by mail, and then you can also do it via text or in the on the link that I'll share out. And then if your business isn't open and you want to wait to start the process, you can also do that. So if you have a business and you're not getting mail there yet, you can just wait to do that later as well. When you click mail, there's a postcard sent to you and it should arrive within 5 days, but it can take as many as 2 weeks. And then you have a code there, and then you'll go back in and add your code, and then you'll be in control of your listing. So you may be prompted to add some additional information that can help your business profile on Google. So once you have put in what you do, Google starts trying to guess other stuff that you do, and then you can add those services as well. So depending on the business category you selected, you may now be offered service options that you can add here. And then you should select anything that's relevant to your business. Even if it's not something you're promoting, but you do, it makes sense to have that here. Sorry. Okay. And you may be prompted to add additional services. So you should fill that in as robustly as you can. And then a business description. So this is what the first thing, you want to keep this short and have what you are doing right front and center. So this is the first thing that a user will see. So you don't want this to be like really fluffy copy, but you want it to be really to the point, and do as like what you're trying to drive traffic to. And then photos of your business. So users can also add photos of your business, but yours will show up more prominently. So you should add photos, anything of interest. You can see here. So the outside of the building is always a good one, so people can recognize you if they're trying to find it. And then you can add any of the services or products that you want to display here as well. And then you can continue to make updates and edits to your profile anytime. So you can always go back and add more. So don't feel like you can't set it up because you don't have everything, like your images and everything ready. You can always go back and add more to your business. And then this screenshot shows the Google My Business dashboard. So once you're logged in, this is what you will see as a manager of the Google listing. So in this example, it's Vince's Village Cobbler, and you'll see it has not been verified yet, but he can still make, he's pending verification, so he can still make changes and build this out while you're waiting. So if you're waiting for that postcard, you can still build out everything and be ready to verify and go live when you get it. So now we're going to go into how to manage your business info. So this is a Google My Business dashboard. The home tab is where you'll start. So you get dropped into the home tab. And if you haven't been verified, you can start the process to access the dashboard by visiting google.com business, which is right here again. So you also have the ability to make edits and updates to your profile directly from Google search results page. So once you own the listing and you're the manager, you can make changes anywhere you see your listing, basically. So if you saw a mistake here, you could edit that really quickly from anywhere. So we're going to look inside Google My Business to see everything that you can do. So home, we went over, you land there, and then you see this is the info tab. So this is where all of your information that you already put in when you built it lives, but you can change anything here as well. So you can see here, you can add another category. So when you're setting up, you're only able to add one, but this is where you would go back and add more categories that were relevant. And then make sure that everything is correct here too. And if you want to update your category, add additional, you can have up to 10. So that's where you would do anything that's relevant. And it's okay if those categories, again, don't match perfectly. What Google's using that for is the algorithm on the back to make sure you're showing up on things that, on searches that you should. And then the info, so this is just, you've already done all of this when you sign in, but if anything were wrong or if you did move, you would need to go back in and edit this there too. And then you can add, when you have the street address, that's when you show up in maps. So if you have a brick and mortar, that's really important to make sure that's all correct. If you're not showing up in the correct location on the map, you also have an option here to move your pin drop so that you are in the right spot. And that will take, again, Google will verify that, but it only takes a few days once you manage the listing. And jumping when I do that, I'm sorry. So that's the address, and then you would do your hours of operation, and this is really important. So obviously people want to know, but the most searchers are looking to find out if you're open on mobile. So you want to know that this is all right, and you can also add holiday hours. And if you're going to be closed for like just a one-off, so if you're just closed for like President's Day, you can add that all here. And the more up to date, the better. Obviously, you don't want to frustrate customers by having them come when you're not open, but you really control down to the day. You can also do multiple hours in a day. So if you're closed, so like a restaurant that's open for brunch and then closed until dinner can put in multiple hours listed there too. Yep, and then you can specify by so if you only do takeout for a certain window, you can specify that. and brunch delivery, all of that. So any services that you're offering, you can then offer in specific hours here. And then you can also create a short name. So once you're a customer name, it's 32 characters or less, and it just helps you show up quicker. So Vince's Village Cobbler, if people start typing in Vince's, your short name will pop up. So you can choose a personalized short name. And once you have created your short name, it also creates a shorter URL that you can then share with customers. So if you wanted to share out to have people review you, you could give them a personalized URL that was much shorter than your actual listing once you set that up. And the info, we have gone over, repeat slide. So anyway, the info, you want to make sure that's always up to date and correct. If you add more phone numbers or anything like that, you can do that here as well. And then attributes, if you have special attributes and accessibility, people may be searching these terms, so that's a good way to stand out as well. And then it's optional details about your business that you can choose to highlight within your business profile. But you don't have to have attributes. But if you have something that's a selling point for your business, this is where you would add that. And then the brief description of, we went over this, is the first that you'll see, but it's 750 characters or less. And it should be an introduction to your business that tells the consumer what they need to know most, and then review it periodically. So if you're a seasonal business, like obviously that would change when you weren't open or your hours are changing, in a brief description. And only when you think about this, they do give you 750 characters, but only the first sentence or two will display. So when we were looking earlier at how your listing is displayed, it really is just the quick snippet. So you want to make that really to the point. Yep, and so you want your opening date. So you would backdate this to when you're open. So you would put your actual date that you opened your business here. And if you aren't open yet, you would put a future date here. And then once you've entered the date and verified your business, your profile will appear on Google 90 days prior to opening. So if you know you're opening this summer, you could already set this up, and 90 days out, you'll start showing up in searches. And then if appointments, so if once you figure out when you put in your industry and what kind of business you are, Google will determine if you should have this ability to make appointments. So like if you're a beauty salon or a nail place or something like that, you can use this to make appointments. If you are something that wouldn't take appointments, so say like a hardware store, this ability to put in appointments wouldn't show up, but you can use this to lead people to where they can make appointments. So the bookings, this is going through bookings. So you can book through Google. So you can actually use Google to do bookings, or you can do another service. So if you're already using something like Calendly or another platform, you can just link out to that as well. And then the posts. So post is a quick way just to, if you don't want to change your bio or your tab, it's another way to communicate with people. So a lot of people have been using this for COVID, obviously. So you can do alerts. So if your hours are changed, or if you have contactless pickup or whatever you're offering, you can do in posts. People can scroll through posts after the fact too. So it's good to keep them up to date. So it's much like a social media platform, but you are showing up, your post will show up directly in the business profile or on mobile app or desktops. So you can do posts of text up to 1,500 characters, or one or more images. You can do up to 10 images as well. So if you're running any sort of special or anything you just want to let your customers know as soon as they find you, you can use posts for that. So this is the type of post you can do. So you can just do an update of something that's new. You can promote a product. You can do an offer. So if you want to offer, if you're doing a sale or something like that, or an event. So you could, they're all specific types of posts, and then they'll all show up at the top of your profile. And then by adding business photos, you can help your business profile stand out on Google. So if you have interesting things or things to show off, obviously we talked about the outside the business, but also additional photos, that's all going to start showing up when people find you. If you're something like a restaurant or something, again, people can also post. So if you want control, you should post regularly because the newest image will show up first. And then so you can show products. This is giving highlights, like you should always use well-focused, well-lit images here. It's a representation of your business. So you want to put your best foot forward with whatever you display here. And then the products tab. So you can showcase your products. So this is especially great for brick and mortar stores, and customers can see a more showcase of your products, and it also helps your search in the background. So if you put, we're looking at sandals here, if someone then is searching sandals and it's one of your products, you're more likely to show up in the search. And the products tab, again, like the making appointments, it's only available to businesses in the categories that offer products, that typically offer products. So if you are a dentist, you're not going to see the products, but you may see the bookings. And then if you're a service-oriented business, so a lot of businesses could cross all of these, but so if you could have products and services, but if you're service-oriented category, you have the option of setting up services that apply to your business. So you could, so this one for the shoe has heel repair. So you could have different things that relate to your products that you also do as services. And you're able to put a description here. So you could describe that you only do heel repair on stilettos here, or whatever the specifications are. And then this is so if you don't have a website, Google includes the option to create a free, simple website, which is where you can just put more information that you control. So a lot of the categories, they were making you select what they had in Google. So this is a way you can customize what people see. So it really is a little website. And then kind of create it only takes like 5 minutes to set up. And you just click website, you choose a theme, you put in all your information, and then you publish it. So it's a really simple way to get up there. It's not a hugely robust website, but it does have what you can put it up there as a placeholder until you launch a larger one too. And then you can also you can have your own domain name, but do it through Google, and then you just would have to buy that somewhere else, but then you can connect the two and redirect. So this is an example of one that's just created with no additional information than what they put in their business profile. So you can also just, to have a website, do the bare bones of your profile. And then your business profile is also where people can review, give you reviews. So the more reviews here that a customer writes that are good, you obviously is a good thing for you. And you should also always respond to reviews. So if someone even has a complaint, it's a really good practice to go in and say, we're sorry you had a bad experience, or whatever that is. Whatever their complaint is, it's good to acknowledge it here, because then consumers can see that you did respond and that you care. You can also send this link out and request that people give you a review, so you can see when people have been there recently, or you can just put it as a link in your profile too, so that people will start reviewing you. So once you do have to be verified before you can respond. So that's another really good reason to get your business verified and get there, because if people are giving you poor reviews, you can't respond unless you're verified. So once your business profile is verified, you have the option to read and respond to reviews. And then a lot of times people will come in here and ask for advice, or ask if you have something. So like the shoe example, again, they could write here and ask real quick, do you have sandals? And you have the option to have a conversation with them here as well. And then messages, so people can also direct message you. So you can see here, they're asking, What time do you close? So this would all go right to your Gmail, or if you're logged into the Google My Business app, you get an alert that someone's asking. So this is a feature that you turn on, so you don't have to have this on, but it's a way to talk to your customers in real time. And then it will appear, so you would manage and answer right in the Google My Business app. And it can just help have direct conversations with your customers. And then also, if you are a larger company and you want people to be able to manage, or so like say you have a social media person that you want to answer all those questions that come in real time, you can add additional users to your account, and you can give them various controls. So they can be a manager, owner, primary owner. They don't have to have full access there. And then once you are up and running, you also get access to insights. So this is really, you'll be able to see a lot about the people visiting. You can see everything from if they, like how they found you to if they came in. And so it's a really interesting, once you start getting data, so once you're verified and up, you're collecting all that data. So even if you don't do anything with it, you still will always have it to look at. So you can find out how customers found your profile, what they were searching for. So the search queries means were they typing in sandals and you showed up, or you can see your number one. So that one's really helpful. So if you keep showing up for something that you don't really want to be marketing that you're doing, you can go in and figure out why people are finding you there, and take yourself out of that search query. And you can also add, you can see that you're not ever showing up for something like sandals, again, for that one example. So you could go in and tweak your product so that you show up for more of what terms that you want to. And then you can see the customer actions. So you can see if they called you, you can see if they visited you, or what they did next, because they're all on their phone. And so Google knows what they do. And you can also see if they viewed your photos, and you can see if they got directions to your spot. So here's some kind of next steps. So we're going to send you, all of this. And there's also just a one pager of like the very step-by-step how to set up your business profile. But this would be the next steps: complete your business, request a postcard, verification. If you are stuck on that, again, I can send a link for that, and then explore Google My Business and update all your business information. And these are just, once your profile created, it's not really a set and forget. You want to make sure that you're keeping all the info up to date there. So a really good example is closing for holidays. You want to make sure the hours are always correct. And it's really good if you can continue to share photos and videos. It's just, it's more, the more relevant your information is, the more likely you're going to show up in searches. So that was a lot of information. We can now go to questions.
Great. Well, we have a couple of questions that were related to the very beginning. So in terms of setting up your profile from the get-go, do you need to have the 4-digit, and I'm guessing it's digit, zip extension? Do you need your full zip code, or can you just put whatever the first?
Nope, you can just put in whatever address you get mail at, and it may have a step where it says this is the address we think you mean. A lot of programs are doing that now, but you can just put in wherever you get mail, and then they'll send you the postcard.
Great. If you only sell your wares at fairs, festivals, or trade shows and not a physical address, are there suggestions for listings?
So you can't, Google My Business doesn't really work that way. So you can't really put in without a physical, because it is meant to be found in maps and stuff. But by using Google Analytics and SEO, you can drive traffic to your site to find more that way. So there's other Google tools, but if you're not a stationary location-based business, Google My Business isn't as helpful.
Okay. And then if I do not receive mail at my business location, can you add the text verification link to the chat? I guess they're asking us to include that.
Yep. So I have a form that Google provides for that scenario. So I will include that in our follow-up materials. I'm going to make a note of that. But yeah, so if you can't physically get mail, there's other ways, but you still would want your physical address on your profile of where your customers can find you.
Mm-hmm. And then do you suggest using keywords on photos?
So I would suggest using keywords if they're relevant. So Google's very good at smoothing out like people just loading up keywords, and they're not going to rank you higher for that. So you want to, the relevance of your content is the most important. So when you go to your profile and it's all set up, as well as your website, everywhere you are online, Google is monitoring your bounce rate, which is how fast someone leaves your site or your profile or anything. And if you're putting all these keywords and when people get there, they're not finding what they expect, they're going to bounce right out and you're going to rank lower with Google. So you want to be careful about trying to pad things. Google's very authentic and they are looking for, their goal is to have customers find exactly what they're looking for on the first click. So if you're deterring that algorithm, you're going to get penalized in the Google world. So you want to be really careful about over padding stuff.
So it's more quality over quantity in this case.
And I would really think about keywords with what you're presenting, like what is the customer actually looking for and what are they finding, and make sure everything really makes sense. So like if you confuse a user, they bounce out is basically. So if you're going to use keywords, make sure that it's what they're looking for.
Yeah, and one of the ways that you can do that is figure out what your keywords are ahead of time and then write your descriptions to include those. That's going to help with the SEO also. So if you're using that for alt text with photos, for the descriptions across your business, all of that will end up feeding those keywords in appropriately.
Yep. So your content should, you should always include what you want people to find you for. So exactly. Yeah. Alt tags and all of that can help on your website too.
Awesome. That is all of the questions that we have in the chat. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and submit that in now. If you had a particularly complicated question, you could unmute yourself and ask. We do have a little bit of time left. Again, all of these resources will come out in a follow-up email from me this afternoon. It'll also include the recording of this if there's anything that you need to go backwards for. Eddie is asking, sometimes Google calls me to ask if I am open on a holiday. Is this real or a scam?
That's a tricky one. I think it could be both. So I would go make sure you put all your holiday hours in your Google listing. That's a really good reason why to do that. So anytime you're closed, or even if you're open, you can put that right in their profile. So updating that often is great. And if you tweak hours by like a half hour even, or if your summer hours are longer, just making sure you're really on that hours and people aren't coming when you're closed is really critical. But I would just make, if everything's updated in your Google profile, I wouldn't answer questions over the phone.
Yeah, I think that's usually just a good rule of thumb.
You have complete control over your profile, so you should just utilize that tool.
Exactly. Awesome. If you create a website via Google, does your URL contain google.com?
So your URL is going to be Google generated if you just do it within Google, but you can buy a URL that you want, a domain name somewhere else, and you can redirect to that through Google. So you don't have to have the Google address be your web address. If you're using that feature, you can buy a URL that you want to use. You just would, there's a step in there that wherever you buy it from, you have to redirect.
Yeah, and I always recommend that if you are starting a business and you are coming up with a name, see if that URL is available. If there is something very similar that has nothing to do with you, that could be problematic. You also want to make sure that you have access to those handles on all of the social media platforms. So making sure that you have access to the right URL is definitely gonna help you out there.
And keep it short.
Yes. The shorter the better. Awesome. That's all the questions we have so far. This was great. Thank you so much, Jen.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned stuff. As I run the Maine SBDC's Google pages, now I have a couple extra tips to use with my my scheduling. So I appreciate it.
And I would just end with like the Google platform is very user friendly. So this what felt like a lot I was throwing at you, and there's like a lot of steps, but once you verify your business and you're in there, it's really intuitive, and it also serves you up suggestions on what to do next. So there's lots of, once you got it verified, there's lots of flexibility. And I would say it's one of the most user-friendly programs out there.
I would agree. It definitely translates across platforms really easily. Once you, I mean, if you can log into Gmail, you can also build a website on Google. It's pretty wild how it's so automated at this point. So
yeah, and Google wants your information so that they're serving the right stuff to the consumer. So they're going to keep prompting you to add to it if you're missing stuff too.
Agreed. Well, there are lots of thank yous in the chat. Tommy says this covered a lot. It's like 1 or 2 of these tips could produce huge results. And that's totally true. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just pick one. Just do one of these
profile.
things.
Just get your profile bare bones set up. And then without that, you can't show up in searches. So just, if you just do one thing, just go in and set up a profile.
Exactly. Well, thank you all so much for joining. We'll give you 15 minutes back of your lunch break, and keep an eye out for my follow-up email, and please join us again for future events.